Hi guys, Ren here and welcome to the workshop. Today I've just finished off my cyclocross season with the last race this winter, and I have to say I'm really glad about the improvements that I've made this season and this winter, and I've learned a couple of quite valuable things, about the bikes, about the sport itself, because I was fairly new to it. It was just my second season ever. And last year I wasn't too great at it. I have to admit I had a couple of hiccups, both in tech, in riding skills, and in power as well. So this year much better overall. Last year I finished 11th in the season standings. This year I was third. So and I could have been second if I don't mess up. That's one race that I really messed up. So yeah, that's a pretty huge improvement for me. So the things I've learned, this was the first time that I actually had two bikes. So this is my A bike with the E-Tap and MB Carbon CX Tubulars. You've seen the other one in previous videos. And I bought the bikes because last year there were many races when it was very sloppy and muddy, and having a nice clean bike each couple of laps would have been really helpful. Yeah, it turns out that if you have two bikes you're never going to need them, because all the races, the 4 races until the end of November were bone dry, and then we had one snowy race in December where the bike change wouldn't have really helped, and we had one snowy race today. So in fact I've used the second bike once where my levers have slipped on this one after hitting a bump. Other than that, wasn't touched, but it's better be safe than sorry. You have 1 hour of intense racing. You travel all those kilometers, and if you compare to the grand scheme of things, cyclocross bikes are perhaps the least expensive. So yeah, never mind. I never really used the option of two bikes to full potential, but I don't regret getting one, because now I have a bike to put on the trainer for the summer, etc. So overall a good choice. As I said, one thing I was struggling with was the grip of the levers on the handlebar. I have 2 different handlebars, both have slipped with 2 different levers. So in the end I just decided, and before you say carbon grip paste, it was already on there. So I just torqued it up more than I probably should have. It's been fine ever since. So that's one thing, 2 bikes, didn't really use them. Then last year I really thought that cross is about corner speed, and it kind of is, but then I realized that if you don't have enough power to get to a corner at a high speed, you're never going to develop high cornering speed. So that's when I started working on my own track, my accelerations, and really started to push myself, and it helped. It really did help with my cornering speed. So it's not as simple, it's really not enough to be highly skilled, because you aren't getting anywhere. Maybe on some super slippery technical courses, yes, but other than that, no chance. Then tubulars. Now last year I've been running tubeless tires, and I have been criticized for it. There wasn't really anything wrong with them. I had one puncture when I slashed the sidewall of the tire when bottoming it out, and it wasn't repairable. So my race was over. I didn't have a spare bike back then, or even spare wheels. This year I went full tubular. Well, when I say full, I don't have tubular wheels and tires for dry conditions, so in those I was still on the MV tubeless wheels and tubeless Vittoria tires. But yeah, I can say confidently now that I've been stubborn with the topic of tubulars. Yes, tubeless tires are great, And actually I can't really point out if it's the tread pattern and the construction of the challenge tires that's better, or it's just down to being actually tubular. Nevertheless, I've been super impressed with these in all conditions. These are the baby Limus. I have regular Limuses on the other bike, which I haven't really used because there was no mud. And next year I'm definitely going to invest in one more set of tubulars with something for dry terrain like griffos and chicane in the rear or something like that. So that's tires covered. And also I never had the disconcerting feeling of, worrying about a burp or another puncture caused by a tear. So yeah, tubulars had me safer in the mind at least. So yeah, it might be old school, but it works. I wouldn't put them on any other bike. Here it just works. Then number 4, I've learned that cyclocross is pretty much also it's very important to get it right mentally, because if you fall out of the rhythm, even if you have the legs, you aren't going to do very well in the corners and the technical stuff. And I thought that I wasn't really getting too good results because I got 1/3, 1 podium only, couple of 4ths, couple of 5ths. My worst was a 6th. And that just shows that, cyclocross is probably one of the few disciplines where a whole season actually counts with each individual race, and that makes consistency very important. There have been guys that won and then got 10th, etc. And yeah, because of my consistency, I got 3rd overall, so it's something really to keep in mind for the next season. Then number 5, silicone spray is your friend. And maybe you've seen the previous video where I really struggled with my pedals and not being able to clip in because the shoes were full of mud and the pedals themselves. For this last race, it was very snowy, very mucky, but as you can see, I've put on a generous amount of silicone spray on the bike, on the wheels, everywhere, and there's hardly anything that's stuck to it, so it's really, really effective. And it's not just any regular silicone spray. Maxim, I have this SC1, which is, as you can see, specifically designed to prevent mud buildup, and it just works. Also the shoes, on these I've used something different, and this one I got from a friend. It's used on hiking boots for waterproofing, and I use this on the pedals, on the shoes. As you can see, both are flawless. So I had this problem, I've managed to solve it, so I'm happy about that. And then finally, people were a bit confused when I built this bike because I had E-tap on it with a 1-bike configuration, which you're not really supposed to use at all, and not at all in off-road situations. But I have to tell you, E-tap for me, for cyclocross, is the best thing ever. I have Force 1 on the other bike, and it's good, it's very good, I have to tell that. But having 2 large distinct levers where you can't mess up a shift, you've got a harder and an easier, you just can't beat that convenience, and the brakes are also much better, much more adjustable. It's just a much better system overall. Really, really happy with it. You may ask about the clutch. This Mac has no clutch, obviously. The chain is loose. It has never come off once, even in super rough, bumpy descent where people are dropping their chains with Force 1. So I attribute that to the integrated chain catcher on the boom, which is a very nice piece of kit. What you do get, of course, is chain slap, but you can hear a bit of this while riding along. When you're at 180 BPM for an hour, it's not the thing that's going to bother you anyway. One thing that has bothered me with E-tap and the low chain tension is gear skipping. When the cassette gets mucky with this red cassette, you know, it builds up over here, and in the the smaller cogs, the taller gears, where the chain tension is even lower, I got skipping by the end of the race. Of course, that's easily fixed by running a shorter chain, and yeah, that's all. Gearing wise, I have a 40 on the front, 1128 at the back. It works for me, it worked for every course. The hills that were steeper, we had to run them anyway, so there's not much range required for cross because the speed band is really low, or narrow. And for the front Mac, I don't know, I just can't see any point, you know. Yes, some people say that okay, you can dump a big gear to a real small one quickly, but you can drop your chain, you can mess it up really bad, mess up your frame, and with E-tap you just hold it and it clicks into 3 gears, 4 gears easier, and you're good to go. So no point in front degraders for me. I know the pros use them, pretty much every pro has it, particularly those who are on Shimano. And to be honest, I just can't see why. Maybe they're so much faster that they need a wider spread of gears. I don't know. For me, useless. Okay, so these are my experiences that I've gathered during my second cross season. Of course, I will try to use these and implement the changes for the next one. Another thing that I'm planning to do now that SRAM is going to update the E-tap system to 12 speed, there will be some cheap E-tap HRD 11 speed group sets, so I'm looking for to get one for the other bike as well, so they're more evenly matched. And yeah, as I said, perhaps one more wheel set, and then pretty much the ultimate cyclocross setup. Now if you want to know more about how this bike was built, or perhaps some of my other bikes for different disciplines, then don't forget to tune into the channel and subscribe. It's off today. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.